lot of people never, ever, ever touch it. I highly recommend you add that to your list of baseline maintenance. Starting to look even more bare in here. I love it. You see the waterfall of coolant coming out. Maybe the head gasket was compromised. Welcome back to our adventure with this 1997 triple locked Toyota Land Cruiser. In the last video, I finally got the cylinder head off. In this video, I'm going to be removing the oil cooler that sits on the side of the engine block and see what sort of condition it's in internally. See if we need to replace it or if it just needs a good thorough cleaning. If you're new to the channel, welcome and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button below if you want to see more content like this. And if you want to be notified of new videos as they're uploaded, make sure to hit that bell icon right next to the subscribe button. There's also a lot more videos on the channel around 80 series maintenance and how-tos, and also 200 series Land Cruiser and LX 570 how-to videos as well. Here's where we ended up last time around. We've got the cylinder head off, ready for disassembly here. I'm going to be stripping everything off of it, including the valves, valve seals, the springs and everything. Because of the mileage on this motor, I also ordered up some new valve springs, all 24 valves, brand new OEM Toyota valve springs. The retainers and the clips that sit on top of the retainers, those all look okay and reusable, and there's not really any wear to those. They're not wear items. So the springs, I went ahead and ordered brand new ones. I may be looking at some performance modifications on this setup as we get through the restoration. Keep an eye out. I'm thinking about turbo, maybe supercharger. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out as we go along, and I do a little bit more research. But before I put everything back together, I wanted to make sure the valve springs were either upgraded or brand new. I looked at the aftermarket options for the Brian Crower springs. Not terribly impressed by those. Not a big fan of Brian Crower running gear for the cylinder head based on other experiences with other vehicles I've had. So I went ahead and ordered brand new OEM genuine Toyota valve springs for all 24 valves. Here in the engine bay, as you can see, it's starting to get more and more bare. That's perfect. I've got easier access to a lot of things. What I'm going to be doing in this video is removing the oil cooler. A lot of people that have never had the cylinder head off of a 1FCFE inline 6 motor don't know there's even an oil cooler there. That's it right there. It's a big contraption, has a cooling assembly, kind of like a radiator inside it. And what it does is pass oil through the core of that heat exchanger on the inside and passes the engine coolant over that core. And that's how it cools the oil. So the engine coolant passes over the oil and cools it down or heats it up. If you think about it, your coolant heats up a lot quicker than your oil does. So in the morning, especially on colder mornings, as the coolant heats up and you have oil and coolant passing through this assembly here, it helps the oil come up to operating temperature. And then as the oil gets hot, it helps cool it down and keep it at a normal temperature. And when you've got a lot of pressure on the motor at high altitudes, going up long, extended, steep hills, or towing, or anything else like that, or if you're boosted with a turbocharger or supercharger and putting more pressure on the motor, that helps keep the oil down to a cooler temperature. So if you're working on a cylinder head removal, head gasket job, or even your exhaust manifold coming off, it's right below the exhaust manifold where that would be normally, I would definitely recommend removing your oil cooler, getting it all cleaned up, replacing the gaskets and everything that are in there that keep the oil and the coolant passages separate, and then putting it back together. Having that all freshened up and working really well and getting all the gunk and buildup off of it will help add much more life to your engine as you go through and do your regular maintenance. A lot of people never, ever, ever touch it. I highly recommend you add that to your list of baseline maintenance. Let's get to it. First thing you want to do is put a drip pan underneath there, because there will be some coolant and oil residue that's in there that'll drip out. I've got one right underneath situated there to catch all of that for me so I don't make a mess in the garage. Next, the tool we're going to need is a 12mm socket, either on a ratchet or if you have a small impact driver, that would work as well. If you look closely, you can see that there's a lot of bolts and a few nuts. So apart from all the bolts, you've got two nuts here and here. 2 more here and here, and then 1 at each of these corners. I'm going to go ahead and pull everything off except for these 4 right here. Now that I've got those cracked loose, I'm going to leave them in place for now. I'm going to remove the 2 clips from this pressure sensor. All right, those are off. Now the sensor is going to be in the way of the very last bolt, which is right there. So I'm going to need to crack this sensor loose. It's threaded in right there, and it has a hex key here. You want to put a wrench on this. Don't try to grab it by the sensor head itself. Put a wrench right there, unthread it, pull that out, set it aside, and then you'll be able to reach that very last bolt down there, crack that loose, and then we can start loosening them all up. Here we go. Oops, that fell down in the oil. I'll go grab it. All right, I got that put away. As you can see, there's a little bit of oil dripping there. No big deal. We've got our pan underneath to catch that. Now I'm going to crack that last bolt loose. So I loosened up a couple of the bottom ones, and you see the waterfall of coolant coming out. We're going to let all of that drain, and once it finishes draining, I'll continue removing the bolts and the nuts. So I got all of the hardware removed on the sides and the bottom. Let's get these last 2 bolts on top. Now, even though these 2 nuts and these 2 nuts are in place, I think, yep, there we go, should come right off. Because those hold the actual heat exchanger, which is this finned thing right here. And if you look closely, see if I can show you without spilling stuff, you've got oil passages, which is this guy here and that guy there. Those feed oil through this heat exchanger, and those 2 passages, that one there and that one there, feed coolant through the entire assembly. So coolant passes over this thing and through all the fins, and then oil passes through via that port and that port, in and out, through the inside of this finned mechanism that allows this to be an oil cooler or an oil heater when you first start the truck up. This one's not in bad shape internally. I don't see any milkshake or sludge or anything, so my guess would be that this thing's never had the oil and the coolant mixed enough to create any sort of long-term residue in here. And overall, it looks pretty clean. I want to make sure we're as thorough as possible and get all of these things that I have access to removed, cleaned up, put new gaskets on, put them back in place completely freshened up so that we've got many, many more years of trouble-free service ahead of us. If you can see, there's still, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, there's still a little bit of oil in those ports. I'm gonna place this over one of my drain pans and dump it over so that the oil drains out and it doesn't make a mess on my bench, and then I'll put it away so that we can go through it later on and replace all of the gaskets after we get this thing cleaned up. I'm not sure if I'm going to media blast it or just do a Scotch pad and get it cleaned up that way, but I'll let you guys know in one of the follow-up videos how I get it cleaned up, my method for it, and that way if it's something you want to do as well to get these parts all looking brand new, you can follow the same steps as well if it works for you. Starting to look even more bare in here. I love it. The more parts I can get out of this engine bay refurbished, looking brand new, fresh gaskets, the happier I will be. Now that we've got that oil cooler out, I've just got it laying here to the side. I'll disassemble it and go through how to refresh all the gaskets again in another video. Before I start disassembling the head, I wanted to show you guys the bottom side of it, just to show you what I've been looking at. So here's cylinder number 1. The more clean valves on the bottom side of the video are the exhaust valves. The ones that are a little bit more black in color are the intake valves. Cylinder number 2, no penetration on the head gasket surface that we can see. There's no head gasket here on the cylinder head, that's just the imprint left by it. But what I'm looking for is to see if there's any marks or signs of penetration past the head gasket. This is number 3. This is cylinder number 4. Still looks good. Number 5 looks good mostly, but that might be some area where combustion gases were getting past the head gasket. It's hard to tell just because of how dirty this is. And number 6. Number 6, again, just like 5, looks like it has maybe some signs of combustion chamber gases getting past, especially right here in the corner and right there towards the bottom. It should look nice and clean and silver like this, but it's got a lot of black residue there. So maybe the head gasket was compromised, or maybe it was overheated at some point and caused the head to lift just enough to cause the problems we're seeing here. But when I did the leak down test and the compression test, everything came back okay. But at this point, I'm glad I pulled the head off and we're doing the head gasket, because these 2 cylinders right here, number 5 and number 6, definitely show maybe some old signs of head gasket compromise. So we're going to get this thing disassembled. I'm going to pull all of the accessories, bolts, hardware, sensors, everything off of it, get it ready for the machine shop, and hopefully tomorrow afternoon I'll have it dropped off there. Because I'm going to be doing all of the valve work myself, the valve springs, valve seals, and then cleaning up the valve seats as well, I'm not going to have the machine shop do any of that. If you take a cylinder head to the machine shop exactly like this, with the intake manifold and sensors removed, but leave all of the valves in there, and they have to do all of the valve seals, clean up the valve seats, and then they'll try to sell you on reshimming all of the valves with the shims on the buckets that we labeled in a previous video, which you generally won't need to do on this. You can put a feeler gauge between the cam lobes and the buckets before disassembling everything to see what the clearances look like. If you want to be certain, you can look that up on the Toyota factory service manual. But if you do take a cylinder head to the shop and have them do all of the valve work and everything, depending on what part of the country you're in, what part of the world you're in, you're probably looking at somewhere between, I'd say, generally for the seals, the valve job, everything, and not regrinding the valve seats, you're looking at somewhere between $700 to $1,000, maybe a little bit cheaper if you're in more rural parts of the country. If you do all the valve work yourself and none of your valve seats are damaged and they just need cleaning up, and all you want the machine shop to do is a pressure check for cracks, and then check for flatness, and also grind down the surface of the cylinder head that mates with the short block and the tops of the pistons, essentially get it cleaned up and get the carbon buildup out, and then give you a perfectly flat surface that's machined and verified flat, so that you can get everything reassembled, put your own valves back in, your springs, retainers, and clean up the valve seats before you do all of that. Usually you're looking at somewhere between, at the very cheap end, probably around $75 up to around $250, depending again on what part of the country or the world you're in. In my case, it's going to cost me around $140. I'm having them pressure check the cylinder head, hot tank it, put it through their cleaning processes, get it all cleaned up, get as much of the carbon buildup as they can off of it, and then get a perfectly flat surface on the bottom, machine it as flat as possible. I put a straight edge along the bottom and it looks pretty flat. With my naked eye, I can't really tell any warpage that's gone on there. So I'm going to get to doing that and wrap this video up at this point. I'm going to do some more disassembly over the weekend after I get this thing dropped off at the machine shop tomorrow. Again, thank you for following along. If you have any comments, if I missed anything that you noticed, please leave it in the comments below. I always love hearing you guys' feedback. In the meantime, love you guys and see you next time.